Hey everybody, Laura A. Grace here, and I am so excited you guys see I have a special guest today. Last week technically kicked off the fun. We have the manga starter giveaway. Don't forget to go enter that. I'll leave a link up in the corner, one of the corners here. But today I am interviewing such a special guest. She's so amazing. Let me go ahead and introduce Pippa from Strawberry Shojo on Instagram. Hey Pippa!
Hi.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited you're here. Man, I think I've shared with you before, but I remember a long time ago when I discovered you on Instagram, and I was like, oh my goodness, she's totally too cool to be friends with me. I know that probably sounds really weird, but I was just like, she's so cool. And so I have just loved being able to get to know you. And it's like totally surreal that we are chatting today, like face to face. I'm so excited. So
Thank you. I'm excited too. And also, I'm not too cool. I'm not too cool for anyone. I am a humble manga reader.
a very cool and humble manga reader that a very cool and humble manga reader. Like guys, I will definitely leave her links down below to go follow her. She has such great taste in manga, including shojo, which is going to be sort of our focus for today. But before I forget, in case you're wondering, like, okay, we've been talking about the release of Fine God anime. Why am I specifically interviewing Pippa outside for being super duper awesome, which you guys should know? Well, what's really cool is she did the internal illustrations for the devotional. And let me find, what was your favorite one, Pippa, from that you drew
Ooh,
illustrations?
I really like doing the Yona of the Dawn one.
Oh, let's see if I can find Yona. If I can't find Yona,
It's just really satisfying to do the little petals. I mean, it was simple. It's simple, but it was just really satisfying to draw.
yeah, it was so pretty. It was so pretty. In fact, when I was sharing the devotional with my grandma, she actually really loved this one a lot.
Oh,
So she wanted to read it. And that's not the only one. My favorite one was Cells at Work, which probably is no surprise. And I
yeah,
even
that
asked
was a cute design idea that
yeah,
you thought of.
but you brought it to life though. You brought it to life. See, look, Cells at Work. I love Cells at Work so
Super
much.
cute.
I know it's not, I realize it's not shoujo, so we can change topics from Cells at Work to shoujo manga.
That's okay. I haven't really read or seen Cells at Work. I really need to get on that though because I hear it's great.
It is. I feel like White Blood Cell and Red Blood Cell are like the ultimate non-canon ship that there is in manga and anime. Like they're so cute and wholesome, and I get that like they could never be together just because they're two different cells. So I'm like, they just to be together.
Oh,
That's like literally my like favorite part of Cells at Work is just seeing the cute little blushy moments that rarely happen, but when they do, I'm all here for it.
the writer knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I definitely feel so, and I guess look, that's probably what makes like going back to shoujo so special is because you do have those sweet little blushy moments. You're like, oh, this is so cute. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess maybe not all shoujo is like that, but I feel like predominantly that is a defining feature of the
Oh,
shoujo.
for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, just sweet, subtle romance is just really just the bread and butter of shoujo.
Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. Well, I think we were gonna like go back and forth about different questions that we had, and I'm pretty excited because I don't actually know your questions, so I'm really curious
Yeah.
to talk about today.
I hope that they're okay.
I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they're great.
Okay, my first question is what is a manga series that you might be nervous about trying?
Oh man, now if this was Jose, I would have something for Jose. I think. Oh my goodness.
Ooh, what's the josei that you're nervous about reading?
Was it Something's Wrong with Us? Is that the name of that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I was really hesitant to start about despite that everybody kept gushing about how good it was. And then I was talking to Jacob at Meet the Weeb Family and he's like, this is really good. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, for some reason I'm just hesitant. And I don't know if it's because people are like, it's sort of like not a psychological thriller, but it's not the fluffy romance of like shows.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so when
I've only read the first 3 volumes of that, and
okay,
honestly, it's kind of just middle of the road for me, like,
okay.
I think I need to reread it to see if I wanna continue collecting it, because the 4th volume was out of stock for a while, so then I just kind of
Oh,
forgot about it. But yeah, I feel like I need to reread it to see if I wanna continue collecting it because, again, I just forgot about it.
yeah.
And I'm like, if it was forgettable, then was it very good? I don't know.
Oh no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
guess I guess we'll see for me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I have no idea what you'd think of it.
I think the one that just came to mind too, as you were sharing, I think the only other one that would come to mind is Daytime Shooting Star. I don't remember the manga's name, but I have heard it's a good series, but it also has the teacher romance, and I have
Yeah.
not been able to get into well, it's like I don't actually know which ship sails at the end, but I know that the teacher has feelings for the student. And I was just like, oh, I don't know if I can do it, despite that the covers are so cute and it looks like
Yeah.
a fun story. But
It was on my list to read before I realized what it was actually about. And
that's
I realized, like, I feel like people are like, "Oh, no, he's not a teacher, he's like the teacher's assistant or something." And I'm like, "That doesn't make it better, in my opinion. It doesn't make it
yeah,
better." And,
yeah,
like, at a certain point in my life, I was a teacher, so I'm like, "No, absolutely not.
yeah.
Mm-mm. No, those are literal babies, those are children. No."
Yeah, I'm right there with you. So that's the only one that I think is distinctly coming to mind. And so, what about you though?
Mm, I mean, again, I've heard that that one is really good, but I just can't do it. I usually stay away from, like, age gap stuff generally,
Yeah.
um, because that's not something I'm into personally, but there is one, and I'm trying to think of it. Oh,
Um,
oh, there's something that's, like, really popular right now, and I'm totally blanking on the name of it. What is it called? Like, Sacrificial Beast Princess something
yes, I just got that one.
something?
I think it's the Sacrificial Princess and the something beast. What's the Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beast?
Okay, so have you read that one?
I have not, but I confess I asked my husband if I could get the whole series for Mother's Day. So
Oh,
I do have it because I know Shay Geeks Out spoke really like favorably and strongly about it, and so I went and like read previews online, and I enjoyed what I read. So I'm very curious. But I mean, hopefully I enjoy it because I saw I have the whole series, and that would be
mhm.
so horrible if I don't. That'd be so horrible.
That's one that I was a little I forget why exactly, but I know someone, like, said that it had, like, some trigger warnings, and I was like, "Oh, no, okay." I'm like, "I don't know what it is, though." So I wanna investigate before I pick it up, but that's
Yeah.
one that I'm interested in because I love fantasy, and
Mhm.
fantasy's the best.
Yeah, I feel like it was the Earl and the Fairy, that manga, like, just suddenly just ignited something in me, and I have just been so hungry for fantasy manga right now. Like, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this because usually I just read contemporary, but now I'm like, I need more fantasy manga. So
Mhm.
I was hoping to start the Sacrificial Princess already, but it's just been a busy 2 weeks, and I'm like, I haven't read anything. So hopefully soon. I'll let you know what I think. So hopefully,
Yeah,
any
definitely.
favorable things. We'll see how it goes because I don't think, except for Beast of Abigail, which I've read volume one, this one, except for this one. I don't know if this is counted as the Beast manga though, but this is the only one I've read that has. They're sort of like werewolves, but not quite. I forget
Oh,
the exact term, but this was really cute, and I feel like this also played a role in me suddenly like wanting all of the shojo fantasy manga that's going around. It seems like.
well, at some point, you'll have to get Kami-sama Kiss and add that
Yes.
to your collection.
Yes, I have not read that. And I was like, that is a classic shoujo manga. I'm like, I feel so
Yeah.
late to the party with that one.
That one is definitely a must read. I was just really fortunate to get it around, like, 2018 before, like, there was this run on getting all of, like, the older manga.
Yeah,
I got it earlier, so I'm lucky that I have all of it, but I
yeah,
feel bad because it's been out of stock for so long, and I really, like, think so many people would enjoy it, so I hope that it gets back in stock for sure.
yeah, I hope so too. And the funny thing was, is a while back, I think it's when they had just done a restock of volume one. I kept seeing it, and I was like, oh, I'll get it next time. I'll get it next time. And I'm like, now I don't even know how easy or how hard it is to find for at least for volume one. So, and
Mhm.
I think my library was sort of weird and it had like copies of the series, but it wasn't like in order. It'd be like one, three, and then four, five, six, and then go to like 10. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, what are the missing volumes? And now you can't request them to get it because yeah, it's so hard to find and out of stock everywhere. They just need to make
Hopefully,
it.
they have, like, them available for back order and stuff soon.
Well, talking about that and it being such a classic series, why do you feel like shoujo manga is important, like in the scope of, we'll say, all of manga and manga publishing?
It's definitely important. I don't necessarily know that it's more important than any other demographic or genre or anything like that. But I mean, for me, it's important to me, and it was important when I was really young. I mean, I remember like the first time I read a shoujo manga, and that was Fruits Basket. That was my first shoujo that I ever read. And I just remember like I was in high school at the time, and I was in my AP literature class, and we got the list of all of the books that we were going to read that year. And all of them were written by men, and all of them were
Mhm.
about male protagonists. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with John Steinbeck. There's nothing wrong with, Lord of the Flies or any of these really great books. But I was also like looking around in this room full of girls, and I'm like, like even back then, I was just like, why do I just like not get the opportunity to read things about girls that are written by women and like are just generally for women?
Yeah.
So, yeah, when I went to the bookstore with my friends, I I went there with the intent to find something that was just a little bit more on the feminine side, and I found Fruits Basket, and like that was just a really important moment for me. So I just think like we talk about it a lot now and how representation is really important, and I think that it's perfectly natural and okay and a good thing to see lots of people and their experiences represented in media. So
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of people being bullied about liking girly things or liking shoujo, and I
Yeah.
just I'm like, why is it so wrong for someone to want to feel represented in media? Like, I
Yeah.
was a teenage girl, I wanted to read about teenage girls.
Right.
Like, I don't know what's weird about that.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I totally echo that. I mean, I feel like shoujo manga is important despite that it may be very fluffy at times and seem like it sort of like doesn't get below the surface at times. Not that's definitely not every manga. Fruits Basket's a prime example. We go deep in that. But I feel like it creates a relatability, like you said, that other young women can, that they resonate with that. And when you have two readers coming together, and they both see themselves in these characters or see themselves like in this genre, that becomes something so much more, that you're able to like just form that connection with other people. So I feel like that just
Mhm.
relatability across the board for most people, maybe not every person, but I feel like it's interesting reading shoujo manga as an adult, because it's like, well, I don't necessarily act like that as a teenage girl anymore because I'm not a teenager. But it's like, man, like I remember at Strobe Edge, I was like, I feel like this is how I was in high school. And so it was
Yeah.
cool to be able to, I guess, so maybe it's like relatability and forming connections with other people over a genre that's able to bridge that, especially like you're saying, like when you're in class. And I mean, it was the same for me. I mean, I don't remember us reading really anything by female authors, or if we did, it was a very small 1 to 2 pieces during like a week out of the whole year. Yeah, I totally get that. And I blanked on what else I was gonna say right then. But I love what you shared. So I think it's awesome that we have shoujo manga despite like how much smack it might get from certain people. I know, I don't remember who it is. I think her name's Colleen, and I love how she has been almost like a shoujo advocate in the community, and just bringing awareness about shoujo and why its value is important in our community, despite, like I said, if it seems more fluffy or anything like that. And it is so great, yeah, to have these female authors and Monica writing and being able to support them too, because I don't think I
Mhm.
realized the importance of that growing up, because all you're reading are these mainly male authors in high school. And like I said, that doesn't take away from their work or how powerful it is, but it
Right.
is nice to have that feminine perspective and that feminine touch as well.
Mhm. And I mean, when I was a kid, like the books that were like for girls, I mean, like the Babysitter's Club, you
Oh, yeah.
know, Beverly Cleaver or something like that, or
Yeah.
Beverly,
Yeah.
was it Beaverly? Beverly. Yeah, and I just wasn't really into those, and I mean, that was again, I'm really, like, giving my age here, but, like, that was, like, the beginning of Harry Potter, and then, like, this surgence of, like, all of, young adult literature, like,
Yeah.
sprang forth from there. And like young adult literature obviously existed before Harry Potter, but
Yeah.
I felt like manga was the one place I could go to actually like read stories about women that were also like fantasy and like had a lot more going on than just like being a babysitter. Like no
Yeah.
offense to the Babysitters Club.
Yeah.
That was really important for my childhood also, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted something a little bit edgier and cooler.
Yeah, and it seems like when I think back, because I feel like somewhere in there with Harry Potter, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants came around to be, and I remember my grandpa got that for me and was totally hooked on it. But I don't recall, yeah, much fantasy in the early YA genre. Like it just felt very much contemporary, which is great. I mean, I really love reading contemporary. Don't get me wrong, but has been really nice being able to branch out into a different genre of reading fantasy because I'm like, man, I read so many fantasy novels for these past few years, and then it was like all contemporary manga, and then now I'm like, why don't we just combine them and do fantasy and manga together?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like the kiddos, they do not know how good they have it. Like, I feel like I walk into the bookstore and there's just nothing but like fantasy YA everywhere. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, and having that gorgeous artwork now, like, oh my
Oh
god,
yeah.
I feel like you can just frame the covers alone at this point.
When and how did you get into reading manga?
Okay, so I feel like my first introduction was at my best friend's house, and she invited me over, and she was like, "Look at my manga collection," and I was like, "What in the world is manga?"
Nice.
Yeah. And I know she had Fruits Basket, and then she had Mars. And she said, "Well, why don't you try one of these?" And I was like, "Okay." My teenage me was like, "Well, the guy on Mars looks really hot, and Fruits Basket doesn't look as cool." I feel so bad. I was like,
Okay,
"That
the
was
guy
not."
on Mars is like he's really hot. He's a good looking dude.
Yeah. So
Teenage
I
me would have swooned really hard.
Yeah. So I tried. I think all she had were the first 3 volumes of Mars, and so I read it, and I was like, I can't believe like that this is manga. I thought it was so cool, and I never picked up the rest of the series. I think it was just like I think my brain thought like this is just a special thing that my friend has. You can't find it in stores. That makes no sense, but I don't know. That's how I translated in my brain at that moment. And so it was like, goodness, I think I was maybe a 10th grader at that time. And it wasn't until like 2 years ago that I read, was it, what is it? Library Wars. There we go. I read this series from my
Nice.
library and was totally hooked. And then just started like continuing to read different kind of manga after that. Though it was really slow because I think it was like Library Wars and then Perfect World Volume 1 and then Karate Heat, which is a digital title. And then here we are now. So yeah.
Here you are now with a channel and a huge collection behind you.
Yeah, I know. It's so surreal. Like I never would have guessed at that time, like how hooked on manga I would be. I mean, I feel bad because I'm like, I don't really read nearly as many novels. I mean, it's been a few months, and I'm like, I still like novels, but I'm like, you get all the nice shiny pictures in manga though.
I know, and it's just it's more like palatable, it's easy to read,
Yeah.
usually, and, you know, you just get, like, a bite-sized portion of something, and
Mhm.
instead of being invested in, like, a thousand-page novel, it's like
Yeah. How about you? I don't think I know your story at all. I mean, like, so if you shared it, but I don't recall it right now.
well, I definitely got into anime first, but I didn't really know that it was anime, like, I
Yeah.
saw, like, Speed Racer when I was a child, like, my parents showed me that, though I didn't realize, like, it was Japanese or anything like that. I watched Pokemon, of course,
Yeah.
and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Card Captors, as it was known in the States, and Toonami with,
Mhm.
Yu Yu Hakusho,
Yeah.
and loved that, and then when I was in high school, I met a group of friends, and they were also into all of the same, like, anime stuff, and they were like, "Have you heard of manga?
Oh my
Let
goodness.
me show you." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Interesting, okay."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so, you know, me and my friends, you know, we were just poor teenagers. We didn't have any money or anything, so we would, each collect, like, a different series of manga, and then we would all, like, pass them around and read them. I mean, that's how I read a lot of manga, but I didn't, like, own very much at the time, so and we had a bookstore, and it had, like, 2 shelves, and, like, that was it of just manga, and, like, the rest was, like, American comic books and stuff.
Oh my goodness.
But it was, like, it was such a limited supply and, like, definitely kept that store in business though,
Yeah.
the best that we could. You know, we, all would just collect a different series and pass it around, and that's why, I had a huge falling out with those friends because I wanted to read shoujo manga, and they did not want to read shoujo manga, and
No.
they were like, "If you're gonna read girly crap, then
No.
we don't wanna be friends with you." Like,
Oh
"No."
oh my
Like, why is
god.
this happening? Again, we all, like, shared stuff, and, they didn't want to read what I had to offer because
Yeah.
I bought it with my money, and I was like, "I wanna read this, so, like, it's your choice if you don't wanna read it," but and they're like that, "I don't wanna share my manga with you." You know,
No.
in that way that,
Yeah.
13-year-olds can be very mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's like a bittersweet story. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, you guys had a falling out of sorts because they didn't like that you were reading shoujo manga?
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, this was a group of girls, so, like, they
Yeah.
wanted to read like, only shonen stuff and only, like, stuff about cute boys, and,
Oh,
like, I get that, but I'm like, I kinda wanted to read about, girls
yeah. Yeah.
and, like, their perspective. I don't know.
That's amazing though how like you guys would just buy manga and then share it. Like that is I mean, that's the we'll say that's the cooler part, the non-sad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I collected Inuyasha at the time, and,
Okay.
like, everyone was okay with me reading that. That was totally fine. But
Yeah.
then, I mean, Fruits Basket was a killer. I have spent a lot of my life defending Fruits Basket.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just like, "No, this is, like, important to me." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "It doesn't matter," like and it was hard too because I was just like it was so funny because I just remember the one girl in my group, she was, like, kind of, the leader of the group kind
Yeah.
of vibe, and she was like, "Toru's so ugly, like, she's so, like, ugly and stupid looking," and I'm
Yeah.
just like, "If you read this story, you would not say that about Toru." You would
Yeah.
feel so bad for saying that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I hope that one day that she has since read Fruits Basket and like has apologized to you from afar for what she said to you back then.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird reason to, end a friendship, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because 'cause I'm just like, why? Why is it such a big deal that, like and,
Yeah.
it wasn't even like that I wanted to force people to read it or anything, I was just like, they just wanted me to purchase something that they wanted to read, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And I'm just like, "I'm not even gonna make you read it, like, you don't have to read it, but,
Yeah.
like, this is what I want to read with the money that my mom and dad gave me." You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying it's funny. The next question I was going to ask is like, what series has been impactful on you? Like, what shoujo manga has been impactful on you?
I feel like everyone's tired of me talking about Fruits Basket, but it's really, like, the only manga that has, like, really hit me in so many ways, and that's why, like, even when I review it, I'm like, I'm incredibly biased because the point in my life that I read that story was just so transformative, and
Yeah.
how I relate to different characters, and yeah, it was just really impactful. And
Yeah.
at the time, like, parents were on the verge of divorce, and then they eventually divorced, right after I graduated high school. But like, Fruits Basket was just like very important to me at that time of
Yeah.
like understanding like my own pain that I was feeling and the pain that other people feel. And I mean, I feel like if they're like, I remember your review of Fruits Basket, and I'm just like, if there's one thing that that story taught me, it was that even the people who smile the most, they, it's very likely that they have had some of the worst trauma.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why they spread so much joy,
Mhm.
and you have to look out for, those people in your life,
Yeah.
and you just don't always see the hurt that other people are going through.
Yeah, I definitely think that story really highlights that, I mean, for any person, yeah, regardless if they are the joyful one or they're the more reserved one, that there is still pain behind that lurks that may not be out in the open, and that does I want to say motivates their actions, but does affect like the choices that they make and such, whether good, positive or negative. That was, I mean, it definitely hit me in all the feels in different ways of that series. But yeah, I mean, I would say that that was a very impactful series for me as well, and was very, very transforming too, and very, very eye opening too. I think before Fruits Basket, I think the other series that came to mind for me was Kimi Todoke. And I don't know why I was kind of thinking, I was like, why was that series so impactful to me? And I think it was just such a very moving story, I guess, to me, to see them begin how they did in the beginning, starting high school all the way to graduation. And I don't know, I cried so hard at the end of that series.
I've only read the first volume of that one. I really should try and find the rest of it and continue.
I think it sort of reminds me of Fruits Basket in the sense of like you see all of these characters grow. Like you see how they were at the beginning, the struggles that they had, and you see them overcome it and them grow closer as friends. And then, they have to overcome new hurdles and new things come up. And, communication, I feel like is a very key element for both stories, and how, the need for communication is always a must for friendships and relationships, and not only be willing to share, but also definitely be willing to listen. And so I feel like too, when I read that series, I was like, I sort of wish I had been in high school and able to grow up with these characters. So I feel like it was impactful as just like, this is such a moving story, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, but I feel like that was the one that came to mind of like, man. And I feel like I cut myself off by him, but like, I feel like I guess it was sort of also like the Library Wars was very impactful in getting me into shoujo manga, but I feel like Kimi Todoke like sealed the deal, because I remember when I read it, like I just binge read that series over 2 weeks of my kiddo's Christmas break, and just like being so emotional, and just I'm like, what is life? All I know is these characters' lives right now.
Yeah, it's fun when you get so absorbed by a story,
Yeah.
and then when you finish it, you're just like it's like saying goodbye to a friend, Like,
It is. It is.
what are some new releases that you're excited for?
I wish I had my Amazon wish list in front of me. I wish I had it. Let's see. I don't know if it's a shoujo. Shoujo Beat is publishing it, but it's called Romantic Killer. And I'm very curious about it because I feel like it takes some of the typical shoujo tropes and flips them, where the main character, I don't remember her name, she is suddenly like pulled into this other world of sorts. I don't know if it's a video game or what, but she's pulled into this world and she's surrounded by hot guys, but she's really upset because she's like, all I want to do is play my video game and be with my cat. I could care less about these hot guys around me or like hooking up with anybody.
Nice.
And she's just trying to find a way to get back home to play video games. And I was like, okay, that's a really interesting premise, because I'm like, that seems different. I mean, I feel like we do have some manga that like where they're pulled to their world. They're not excited about trying to hook up with anybody, but to be so adamant that you don't want to be here, and like I guess she doesn't even treat the male heroes very well, that she's just like trying to hide from them or is sort of rude to them, maybe not in a mean way, but in a way of like, I don't want any kind of connection. I just nothing with you, So I'm like, what are some other? I'm like, I know I have a list because I wrote them down just like a few
I'm
days.
the same way. Like, I see things online and then I add it to my wish list and then I promptly forget about it until I go look at my wish list.
Yes, I am the same way because I'm like, I know there's new shoujo manga coming out, but like I said, that's the only one that's like clearly coming to mind. I think it's just because I had shared about it on Twitter the other day. So I did see one that's coming out from TokyoPop. I think it's a shoujo manga. I think it's called Formerly the Daughter's Dupe. It's another like isekai, the villainous redeem trope kind of thing, and I confess I am a junkie for those. I don't care how similar they are.
I haven't read any of those.
They are so fun. I don't know what it is about them, but I just love it. I don't know. So I saw that there's a new one coming out, or that one's coming out. I don't remember what it's about. I just know that the girl was a villainess, and that's all I needed. And I liked the cover, and I was like, okay. I was like, we need to go through this, but I haven't done it yet. But how about you?
Well, actually, I just went to the bookstore yesterday,
Oh, yeah.
and I have a stack.
Oh my
I have a
goodness.
stack.
Oh,
Yay!
oh my goodness, you got Imakoi. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I got volume 2. So I haven't read any of these yet, but I
Okay.
will obviously start with Snow White with the Red Hair because
Yay!
it's the favorite.
Yeah.
I have to read that with my husband because he likes that one too. And then Imakoi Volume 2. This is just a prime example of how I feel like shoujo manga has, I feel like, really improved in a lot of ways, like since I was a child. Because I feel like in so many shoujo manga when I was younger, all of the guys were like really suave and like perfect,
Yeah.
and everyone was like really like kind of knew what they were doing when it came to romance and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is just so real, like, where, like, it's your first time in, like, a relationship and, like, you have no idea what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're like, "This is what I've seen in a movie, like, is this
Yeah.
what we're supposed to do?"
Yes.
And I'm like, I feel like that's so real because, I
Yeah.
mean, I was definitely that way when, I had my first boyfriend. I was like, "So,
Mhm.
like, what do we do now?"
That was me too. That was me
You
too.
know? So, I've definitely had a lot of, like, nostalgic vibes when I've read this. I'm like, this just reminds me so much of when I was a teenager, so I am excited to read the second volume of that. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's how I am with so much shoujo stuff, like, because I mean, obviously, a lot of it is about people who are younger than me, but for
Yeah.
me, like, I was a teenage girl at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, like, just really nostalgic, and it's funny thinking it's honestly funny reading it from an adult perspective because you're just like, "Oh my gosh, I would have done the same thing," or
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, girl, like, I wish I was your friend in high school so I could tell
Yeah.
you not to do that," you know?
Yeah. I've told my husband that so many times, like reading shoujo manga, I was like, I would be this kind of character if I was in a manga. I was completely naive, oblivious, all the signs are there, but I just don't see them, I don't know,
Right.
just a lot of it, yeah, resonates with me. And I'm like, it's so funny as an adult that I'm like, did I really do things like that? But I'm like, I'm pretty 99% sure I would have, but yeah, I totally relate to that.
Or there's, like, the classic, like, "I don't know if this person likes me," but,
Oh
like, they clearly do, like, it's so obvious, and I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, when you're in this situation, it's harder to tell,
Yeah.
or you're just, like, so insecure at the time because you're a growing, awkward teenager that
Yeah.
you're like, "How could anyone possibly like me?"
Oh my goodness. It's so true. Where is the lie?
Yeah, yeah, it's just fun. It's fun looking back for
Yeah.
sure. I feel like in a lot of series now, I see, like, so many positive female friendships in shoujo, where I feel like I didn't see a lot of that before. It was mainly just about, like, the girl and the guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And now I just feel like the friends are taking more of a role and how, like, you still need to prioritize, like, your friendships even when you're in a relationship, and I'm like, "That's healthy, that is a good thing."
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe shoujo manga is showing, like, healthier relationships than they were when I was younger, so I
Yeah.
mean, there's still a lot of bad examples, just to be clear. There's still a lot of, unhealthy romance that I see in shoujo, but
Yeah.
or in all sorts of media, it's not just manga.
Right.
But
Right.
there's, like, some digital manga that I've been wanting to read, and I finally need to just, like, do it and, like, buy it because, um
Yeah.
I don't wanna spend $7.99 on
Yes.
something digitally. It's
I
like,
know.
I'm so bad, and I mean, I'm not saying you should steal it, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that I just don't wanna spend that much on a digital manga, like, it's way more satisfying to spend $10 and have a whole book.
Yes.
But there are 2 manga that I've enjoyed reading the first volumes of that I'm like, I'm gonna need to purchase these, and that is And Yet You Are So Sweet.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yes.
that one was really good. I
Mhm.
read the first volume of that, and, like, that was the one with the girl who, like, she tells a guy that she likes him, and he just flat out rejects her, and
Yeah.
then she's like, "I don't even know, like, how to, like, be if I don't have a crush on somebody."
Yeah. Yeah.
And, like, I related to that so hard because when I was younger, I was like I was not really ready to have a relationship with anyone, but I did think that it was fun to feel like those feelings, but I wasn't like actually ready to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
So like she like pretends that she has a crush on this other guy just
Yeah.
for the fun of it. And I'm like, that's so real. Like
Yeah.
that is just so real.
That was me too. I do not feel like I was remotely anywhere near ready for any
Mhm.
relationship. Yeah, at all. That is a good one. And by the way, I feel so much about the digital manga because I was just telling a friend, I was like, I can, unless I get like, say, like a copy through NetGalley, it doesn't matter how much I may love the manga. I just can't bring myself to pay like $10, like the second volume of one series I really, really want, Getting Closer to You. And like, I love the first volume. It has all the elements I love. But I'm like, I just can't bring myself to pay $10. I'm like, that is the same price as a physical Viz Media paperback. Like, I
Yeah.
just can't. I can't do it as much as I love it.
That's the thing too, is like I see that like they have digital manga and then like it comes out and then like 2 years later they print it and I'm like, I don't wanna spend a bunch of money and then print it, you know?
That's true. That's true. And especially you get like when you hear like I think there's one shojo manga I'm blanking on. It's like a sports shojo manga kind of thing. That series, like I heard rumors that it was going to get printed, and because they're like it's so popular, I'm like, well, I'm not going to get it. I was hesitating. I'm like, it's been quite some time. I'm like, there's no news. And I feel
Right.
like this recent time around when Kodansha was sharing their digital manga coming up, I was really disappointed that there was like no shoujo on the list.
No.
I was like, I think
Yeah.
it's one title, but a lot of them were isekai, which is fine. That's great. But Kodansha, come on, you gotta deliver some more to us here, you know?
Yeah, just a little more, please.
Yeah. And if only they would just print it. If only they would just print it. So
I know, and I just feel like so many people would buy it, like, it's
yes,
like they don't want money. Like, come
yeah,
on,
yeah.
you're a business, you wanna make money, right? Come
Right.
on.
Well, tell me about digital manga. What are some digital manga titles you would love to see printed?
I mean, and yet you are so
Yeah,
sweet.
I love
There's
you.
this other one that I started reading called Falling Drowning.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Oh my goodness, sorry.
I
Yes.
was so into that first volume.
Oh my goodness.
Like it's very mysterious. I'm like, "Ooh, wait, what's happening?"
I forgot about all about that. There's probably a volume 2 for that. I didn't even
Yeah, there probably is a volume 2 for that now. What happened to her? Like, she
yeah.
had an accident, she, like, lost her memory, and then, like, all of her friends know about it, but, like, they're not telling her, which seems really messed up to me, but I'm
Yes.
just like, what is happening, though? Like, I need to know.
Yeah, I
So
feel like that love triangle is the only love triangle or one of them, very few that I am super undecided on. I'm like, I don't know, like, because there's so many unanswered questions. I feel like it's hard.
yeah, I'm like, I don't even know if she should be with either of them because
Yeah,
they're, like, lying to her, you know? Like,
and
it's like a secret. Like, they all
yeah.
have a secret. Like, what happened?
Yeah, and like I said, even her the girl that's one of her friends, or I think I'm assuming she's probably her
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
I'm like, even you're not telling her, like,
Like,
what?
something happened, and
Yeah,
I wanna know what it is.
yeah. Why we're talking about, I gotta see if it's up on like the second volume because I forgot all about that because I am right there with you. I loved that volume. Like it totally surpassed like any of my expectations. It is. It's up for pre-order. It releases in 2 days,
Ooh.
and it's 10.99.
See, I can't spend 10.99 on digital manga. I'm not rich, people. I'm
Oh,
not.
oh, that is such a disappointment to realize how expensive it is.
I mean, I can kind of understand when they're, like, really short series and maybe,
Yeah,
like, you know, maybe this series is really short, you know, like, maybe it is only, like, 3 volumes or something,
hopefully it's
but
longer. I feel like we have
but
too
I
many.
hope it's longer than that, and then I hope they print it. I also got I've been trying to support TokyoPop, and
Oh,
I got these 2 new releases. I mean, I think they were new, like, maybe last month, and I might be behind the times, but Alice in Kyoto Forest, and I think this is Mame Coordinate, and
but
she's, like, this cute girl who's gonna be, like, a model, and I'm like, "This is adorable."
yes,
So I'm excited to read these.
I hope you enjoy it. I confess I didn't connect with that one as much as I wanted because the cover is just it's the
It's
prettiest
so
cover.
cute.
Yes, but Alice in Kyoto Forest is super cute. I that was a very wholesome story, and I really loved that first volume and the messages of it. It was so good. I'm like, we need more positive. I mean, not that manga doesn't have positive messages, but I just felt like the message that manga had was for any reader of any age and just could resonate with anyone. Like, I really, really enjoyed the messages in that one. It made me want to read her. Like, she's got another series. It's like a mystery suspense, and I've been really confused because like it was a light novel, not Alice in Kyoto Forest, but her other one. It was
Mhm.
a light novel, and then it got printed or got translated in English, but it's only like on like Crunchyroll in their manga section. And I'm like, I
Oh,
thought this was getting printed because I've been waiting for it. But I hope you enjoy both of them though.
yeah, I mean, I have heard that this wasn't, like, the best thing, but it's about clothes.
Yeah,
I
that
love clothes. Like
yeah. I don't think it was a bad story or anything. I'll admit there was just one moment I didn't like, and so I wasn't able to push past the moment because it just didn't like one of the characters as much. But
okay,
the
okay.
main girl is very great though, and I did really enjoy the inside look of her into the modeling. Like I found that very fascinating. So I
Mhm.
said it was just one action by one character that I just could not get over. That was like this character. But everything else was great though. So it
Well,
was
I will let you know what I think of it. I'm just in love with the all the colors on the cover. I'm like, I'm excited to take a photo.
yes. I really feel like all of the covers just seem so they're just so
Mhm.
pretty. They're just so pretty. Like that is like the kind of thing that yeah, you want to take pictures of because
Yeah.
it's pretty by itself.
And I feel like I just wanna support TokyoPop
Mm,
because for nostalgic reasons, but also just,
yeah,
like, I feel like the more publishing companies that exist, the better for when it
yeah.
comes to having a lot of chances of things getting licensed and, so
So
hopefully they continue to do well, or hopefully they are doing well. I don't even know how their company's doing, but, we have a bit of competition because competition is good.
yeah. They I don't know where I just rearranged my manga yesterday, so I don't know where it's at. But they do have a few series. Like I like sorry for I like this one, Osan Idol. This
Yeah,
one
I read the first volume of that, digitally, but I haven't read the rest of it.
I haven't either, even though it's like I really liked it. I feel like there's just if I could get this from the library, I would totally binge read it. But there's other series right now that I've really wanted, but
Mhm.
there's one more, but I don't know where it's at. But it's really long. I think it was I was reincarnated as a villainess in an otome game, but all the boys love me anyway. Is the name of that?
That's a heck of a name.
Yeah. So
I
that
really, liked Our Not So Lonely Planet. I think that's, like, the
oh,
only other one that I've read recently from Tokyopop.
yeah, I do feel like they've really stepped up, and I've been really impressed by a lot of the Tokyo Pop titles that I've read, and I've officially put them on my radar to pick up more of their stuff more often too, because I'm like, I feel like they said they're not the same. They're not just giving you like three volumes, dropping the series, and you'll never know how the rest of it ends.
Mhm.
I haven't come across that. I mean, I feel like some stories sometimes may be like a personalness, but I do love how they seem very pro creators that aren't necessarily like coming out of Japan. Like
Oh, that's true, yeah.
yeah, because I know they have that one line where like one lady, I think like two or three ladies are based in Europe. And I found the other day I was getting ads from her. I cannot remember the name of her series. I read the first volume though and I enjoyed it. But she's doing like this whole writing thing of about creating manga. And I was like, it's so cool that they're very engaged with like the community. They are always like
Mhm.
tweeting stuff. And so I feel like Tokyo Pop does have that special connection a little bit more with the community because it's like you share something and
Yeah,
like I've had them respond to my email if like I think it was just one, but I was like, I can't access this link, and the next day they're like, sorry about that, here you go. So I feel like I'm not talking to a robot, or you're like just sharing with random people who may
right.
acknowledge it. So
Mhm.
cool. Did you get anything else in your haul?
I got those 2. I got
I feel like I saw the King's
Prince
Beast.
Freya
Oh
and the King's Beast,
wait,
which this is a pretty saucy cover, guy. Yeah, and then I just got, Snow White with the Red Hair and Yona of the Dawn, which,
oh
I'm still collecting it even though I don't have any of the
yeah.
earlier volumes.
Yeah. Well, I think we talked about that because we wanted to talk about Yona, but it was like got pushed back to like July before it would come back in stock.
Yeah.
Which really stinks. I have, I think, I have volume 1, but I think I have volume 2 and 3 on my wish list, and I just keep coming back because I know Haikyuu, the 2 missing volumes I need are supposed to come back in stock in June, and so I just keep
Okay.
coming back every month. I'm like, "Come on, like, I am here. I'm gonna get on this on this
Mhm.
restock and get them." Like, I even told my husband, I was like, "This one," I was like, "it's not technically part of my budget, but I'm still getting it. I'm still gonna get it."
Yes. Yeah, I have, like, volumes 1 and 4 of Beyond of the Dawn, and then I have, like, 20 through now 36, and I'm like,
Yes.
I need to get the rest of it, hopefully. I
Yeah.
have it on back order, so hopefully it actually ships and they don't cancel it or anything.
Us talking about hard to find manga and stuff, are there like any either hard to find manga or like I guess like hidden
Mhm.
gems that you wish more people knew about or was easier to find?
The one that I've been looking for a while is Mars, but I'm
Mm,
just not going to pay $500 for it, like, it's never gonna happen. And
yeah.
at this point, like, for used manga from the early 2000s, I'm just like, "Yeah, I'd pay full price for it, but
Yeah.
no more than that."
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are people who are willing to pay, like, 10 times that, and I'm like, "Okay, well, then I guess I can't have it."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe the most I've paid is maybe sometimes almost double if you include shipping. So the most would be like $20 because I know
Right,
for one series I did then, they kept having the shipping. The shipping I felt like is what was getting me was since it was from different sellers and they weren't doing the free. So I've been trying to be more mindful of that.
I've I'm I'm pretty good at wheeling and dealing, so I, normally am not paying, like, full price for most manga unless I'm buying it at the store. I'm pretty good at, like, hunting down volumes, and, like, that's just, like I wish that was a job, like, I wish someone would pay me to find affordable manga for them. Like, if
Yeah,
that were a job, I think I'd be really good at it.
yeah,
Like,
that is
I
fun.
just love it. I'm just like, "Yes, I am the tech wizard, and I will find the perfect price."
Yeah, I
Um,
have debated about joining Reddit for that manga swap forum for
mhm,
that Reddit, and I am just so nervous to join it because I feel like they'll be easier to find these manga that are hard to find now for hopefully a reasonable price, and I'm just like I just can't learn. I'm like, you gotta reel it in. Yeah, I'm like, I just gotta reel it in because I'm like, I'm already like super behind on reading the manga that I personally own already. And I'm
right.
like, I tell my husband, I'm like, I want to try and read it all, but then I'll discover a new series. Like when I was doing that ABCs of Shojo manga, I checked out, was it Dawn of the Arcana? And
Mhm.
I skimmed the first volume and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm really hooked. I need to know what happens. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, thankfully the library has that series, but I'm like,
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like I'm always discovering something new. So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that, but I feel like it's just like impossible to ever stay up on everything. It's almost like I have to choose to sacrifice what is not going to make it, even if it's really good. It's not even an issue of I didn't like this or I may not like this. It's just an issue of like finances because we have no money tree.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it's been a while since I found, like, a good deal on Manga Swap because feel like at the beginning of the pandemic, it was, like, a lot easier to find manga, and then the pandemic brought out, like, a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people, and
Yeah.
there's definitely been a run on manga and, like, a lot of new fans and stuff, and yeah, Manga Swap, it's been a while since I've seen, like, a really good deal. Like, everyone seems to be, like, aware of what they have now. It's like you're not gonna find the person who's like, "Here's all of, Mars for
Okay.
$10." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where, like, before you really could find that. Like, people, like, thought it was, like,
Okay.
useless, But now, like, there's a demand for it, so
That is true. I have been trying
Mhm.
to find The Earl and the Fairy since I read it. And yeah, I've been coming across that issue. Well, sometimes you'll find like somebody will sell a volume for $5. But it's rare, it feels like, to find, where you're just paying retail or less. Like I mean, it's almost like if you're buying used manga now, you might as well expect that you could be paying above retail,
Mhm.
and not just because of shipping alone.
I mean, I got really lucky, like, that's how I started my collection. I went on Craigslist and someone was this was at the very beginning of the pandemic, and, like, I already had a little bit of stuff, like, I had Nana and I had Fruits Basket and that stuff, but I went on Craigslist at the beginning of the pandemic, and this old man was selling a bunch of stuff for his granddaughters, and he had 600 volumes of manga, just lots of random stuff, and he sold me all of it for $500.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
such a steal.
Yeah, I mean, it was less than $1 a volume, so
Yeah.
yeah, and then I kept what I wanted and I sold other things, but then I sold them online and I sold them at auction, and, like, I made a lot of money, and then with that money, I bought, like, the collection that I wanna have, you know?
Yeah. Wow. That is amazing. What a
Yeah,
story.
I mean, it is wild, but, like, people ask, like, "Oh, how do you have so much manga?" I'm like, "That's how." Like, I
Okay.
had enough money to know that this was, like, a good investment,
Yeah.
and then I sold everything, and, I mean, I didn't, like, price gouge people, like, I did things at auction or, sold things, like, what, like, the going rate was for it, but it wasn't like I was like, "Pay me thousands of
Yeah.
dollars for things," you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
What you mean?
but yeah, I mean, I like tripled my money at that point, and then I was able to buy, you know, series that I really wanted to collect from the profit that I made off that. So,
Yeah.
so I'm like, that's why I have the size of a collection that I do because I got very lucky, you know.
Man.
I mean, I was talking to the guy. I was like, you could sell these online for a lot of money. Like, I felt bad. I like felt
Yeah.
bad. I was like,
Yeah.
and he's like, I don't want to sell them online. He's like, I just don't want to do it. And he's like, and he's like, my granddaughter just doesn't want them, so you just take them. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Like, oh my goodness. What was, do you remember like what some of the goodies were for you that you wanted to snag in that deal?
Well, they had all of Donna Marcana.
Oh my
Was
goodness.
one of them. Um, there was a bunch of stuff. They had a lot of it was like older, like early 2000s manga, like
Okay.
like Loveless and
Oh,
um
yeah.
which I never got into, but and I sold that one. And like they had all of Chobits and like they were all like the first printings of things,
Oh,
and like people really wanted those online, so like they
yeah.
sold really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Spice and Wolf and Berserk,
Oh my
which
goodness.
sold very quickly.
Yeah.
So, like, that's how, like, I read a bunch of stuff, and then I was like, "Well, I read it, but I don't think I'm gonna reread any of this, so,
Yeah.
I'll just sell it." And I'm trying to think what else was in that. Like Goodnight Poon Poon or Pun Pun? I'm
Yeah.
not
And I don't know. I know it's
I'm
usually
not sure how we I'm not sure how we pronounce that one.
yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Um, I just know there was a lot. It
Yeah.
was like kind of overwhelming. Olive Trigun,
Oh,
which I wish I had kept. I wish I had kept that one. Yeah.
that is amazing. I bet just wow. That yeah, like that's one of those like once in a lifetime deals you come across and you just benefited in multiple ways.
Yeah.
I am loving this conversation so much. But I guess we should wrap it up. And I'm going to ask the big question. I have a series of voting that's going to be going on this month on my Instagram channel. Leave a link down below, guys. But there is so much manga in this devotional that I have
Mm.
not read. And some of them are really big, like Naruto, Full Metal Alchemist. And so I'm doing voting to see that each week we're going to choose 4 different manga from this list I'll show here somewhere of what manga should I read. So Pippa, I'm going to ask you, what 4 titles do you hope will win that you want me to read?
4 titles.
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm trying to think of, like, something that you would like from this list. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna read Yona of the Dawn, that's gonna happen.
I feel like
That's a
that would,
buddy read. We're gonna
yeah.
read that. You haven't read A Silent Voice?
I have not. I have volume 7 somewhere on my shelf because my library is volumes 1 through 6 and I meant to read it last year, but I still have not read it.
I feel like you'd like A Silent Voice. It
Yeah.
is sad.
I have heard that, yeah.
It's yeah, it hurts the heart,
Oh
but
no.
it also fulfills the heart as well. It's probably one of the only manga that me and Meet the Weeb Dad really agree on. Like,
Okay. Okay.
I haven't even started Komi Can't Communicate, but I feel like we both like that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I do I feel like that's a really another strong contender for this challenge that or for this voting. However, I don't know what I'm calling
Mhm.
it.
And then, I mean, I feel like I don't know that you'll like Full Metal Alchemist. I like Full Metal
Yeah.
Alchemist, and I mean, I think it's really good, so
So
you might like it.
I feel like
It's
that's
I
every
feel like it's a little different than maybe like other things that you've read.
okay. Well, surprisingly
But
enough,
female
oh
author.
yes, yes. I feel like Full Metal Alchemist is just so it's so loved, and I'm like, I know all I've heard is the beginning wrecks you, and then it's really good. Like that's all I've
Yeah,
heard about
yeah,
this
yeah. I like both versions of the anime. I know some people are like, "No, we only watch Brotherhood now,"
Oh
but I'm
yeah.
like, "I like both versions." Like, I think both versions are good,
Yeah.
especially the first anime because the dub voice that they got for Al is just that's his voice in my head, like, that
Oh,
sweet, sad voice, like I know you haven't seen it, so never mind,
yeah.
but, I like both versions of the anime, and I like the manga. You
Okay.
might enjoy that one. But a silent voice, I feel like there's a really good possibility of you liking that one.
Oh
I
yeah.
read the first volume of Your Lie in April, and I like that one, and I think you'd like that one too.
There's another friend that he loves that series, and he was like, I really think you would like that one too. So I feel
Mhm.
like that's another emotional roller coaster of a ride there with that one. But like one of those ones it's like worth it because that's how a silent voice seems to me. It's
Yeah.
like very emotional, but very much worth all of the tears, all of the feels that you feel in that one.
Yeah, I know that Your Lie in April is going to be sad,
Mhm.
and I've I mean, I just finished reading, like, the first volume of Orange, and I was like, "No, I'm just going to read, like, things that are less emotional."
So
Like, this is my not very emotional stack of manga.
yeah, just happy emotional fluff.
Yeah, I need a my heart needs a break.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but then
totally
I'm
get
gonna read more of July and April.
so man, so
Mhm.
you said Full Metal Alchemist, A Silent Voice, Your Line, April. Was Comey the other one that you said as well, or are we still
I feel like of the things on the list see, because I haven't read a lot of these, and I don't think that you would be into One Punch Man, if I'm being honest. I just don't think that would be your thing. And then, like, I haven't read Yona of the Dawn yet, but we're definitely gonna read that.
okay. Yes. Yes.
And I haven't started Komi Can't Communicate, but I think that we would both like that one too.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Man, well, thank you so much for chatting with me. I love
Thank
this
you.
conversation much, and this has just been so fun. And thank you. I know Mariah and I like gush so much about thank you for the illustrations. I'll do a little quick. They are just so amazing. Like
I had so much fun making them.
I'm so glad. Like we loved him. We squealed. We fangirled. We're like, you blew us out the park. You blew us out the water. You know, like I'm trying to think of the anime equivalent. We're just knocked down the ground because we're so so. And if you guys want to see all the illustrations that Pippa did and read the pieces, it is free on Amazon and other retailers. I'll leave a link down below. Volume 1 is also free. And if you order the paperback, we're doing a special goodie where you can actually get Pippa's illustrations in physical form, including a Cells at Work colored sticker, the Full Metal Alchemist sticker with a mirror effect, and a Demon Slayer inspired postcard. So all you gotta do is just order the paperback, send us a receipt to the email address down below, and go follow Pippa on Instagram. Are there any other places that you're lurking, Pippa, that we can go? I was gonna say
No,
stop.
I'm only on Instagram, yeah.
So go follow her on Instagram, where she has such calm, relaxing photos and exciting, awesome reels. I love like the reels that you do, and so go follow her. Again, links down below. And thank you again, Pippa, just for hanging out with me and sharing about our love for Shojo manga.
Yes, thank you for having me on here on your channel.
Yeah, thank you, and you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.